Author's POV. The world of Jeon Jungkook was not built on sunlight and gentle rains. It was forged in the cold fires of necessity, a fortress of concrete and steel, where trust was a currency more valuable than any blood diamond. He was the dragon, the young, formidable leader of the Jeon swords, a syndicate that held Seoul's underworld in a grip of iron. His reputation was one of swift, merciless decisions, a man whose silence was more terrifying than a shouted threat. And at the heart of his fortress, in a penthouse that overlooked the glittering Han River like a king overlooking his domain, was his wife, YN. Theirs was not a marriage of love, but of alliance, a strategic union to merge her family's shipping empire with his underworld influence. To the outside world, they were the perfect, powerful couple. Behind closed doors, they were two strangers orbiting each other in a cold, silent dance tonight. The dance was about to become a war. YN. She hums a soft, nameless tune, her fingers tracing the delicate embroidery on a cashmere throw. The penthouse is silent, too silent, a stark contrast to the storm brewing in her heart. She glances at the small white stick tucked into her journal on the coffee table. 2 pink lines, a universe of possibilities contained in a plastic stick. She's terrified. She's elated. She has no idea how to tell the man who shares her name, but not her bed. JK. The front door clicks open, a sound as sharp as a gunshot in the stillness. His footsteps are heavy, deliberate. He doesn't call out her name. He never does. He simply exists, his presence filling the space like a sudden drop in temperature. He walks into the living room, his black suit jacket slung over his shoulder, his white shirt stark against his skin. His eyes, dark and unreadable, sweep over her. Y/N. She startles, quickly closing her journal. Jungkook SSI, you're home early. The formality is a shield she's learned to wield. JK. He doesn't answer. His gaze is fixed on the journal. He's a man who notices everything. A shift in the air, a change in tone, a hidden secret. He drops his jacket onto a chair and walks towards the coffee table. What's that? Y/N. Her heart hammers against her ribs. It's nothing, just my journal. His hand is quicker than her lie. He snatches the journal, the pages fluttering, the pregnancy test, nestled between pages filled with her lonely thoughts, falls to the marble floor with a plastic clatter. For a moment, there is absolute silence. Jungkook stares at the test. His expression doesn't change, but the air in the room curdles. The gentle hum of the air conditioner becomes a deafening roar. JK. His voice is dangerously low, a whisper that cuts deeper than a scream. What is this? Y/N. Tears prick her eyes, a mix of fear and a desperate, burgeoning hope. Jungkook, please. JK. He picks up the test, his knuckles white. He turns it over in his hand as if it's a foreign, hostile object. When he looks at her, his eyes are black pools of fury. I will ask you one more time. What is this? Y/N. It's a pregnancy test. I'm pregnant. The confession hangs in the air, fragile and terrifying. JK. A cold, mirthless smile twists his lips. Pregnant. He lets the word hang, tasting its bitterness. That's a fascinating development. YN, a miracle, one might say. Considering I have never laid a hand on you, not once since the day we were forced into this arrangement. Y/N. It's not what you think, JK. He explodes. The calm shatters. He sweeps his arm across the coffee table, sending a crystal vase shattering against the wall, water and lilies scattering like fallen dreams. Who is he? Y/N. She flinches, wrapping her arms around herself. There is no one. Please, just listen to me. JK, listen to you. He laughs, a harsh, broken sound. I gave you a name. I gave you protection. I gave you a life of luxury in this gilded cage. And this is how you repay me. By spreading your legs for some other man and trying to pass his bastard as my heir. Y/N. The cruelty of his words is a physical blow. How dare you? You know nothing about me. You've never wanted to know, JK. He advances on her, his body radiating a violence that makes her shrink back. I know deceit when I see it. I swim in it every day, but I never thought it would come from my own wife. He reaches into his waistband, and the world slows down. The cold, blue steel glint of a pistol is in his hand. It's not pointed at her, not directly, but it's held loosely at his side, a promise of the rage he contains. Now you will tell me the truth. Who is the father of your child? Author's POV. In that moment, YN's fear crystallizes into something else. A profound, soul-crushing heartbreak. This man, her husband, believed her capable of the worst kind of betrayal. He would rather believe she was unfaithful than entertain any other possibility. The gun in his hand wasn't just a weapon. It was the final, brutal symbol of their broken trust. Tears streamed down her face. But her voice, when she spoke, was steady, laced with a pain so deep it was quiet. YN. Put the gun away, Jungkook. JK. The name. Now, Y/N. There is no other man. There has never been anyone but you, JK. He scoffs, raising the gun slightly, his finger resting near the trigger guard. Do you take me for a fool? Y/N. She takes a shaky step forward, her eyes locked on his. The fear is gone, replaced by a defiant sorrow. The doctor said it's a rare thing. It can happen. They call it a virgin pregnancy. It's medically possible. It happened to me. She hugs her still flat stomach. This child, our child, was conceived the night of the Black Sun Gala. 6 weeks ago. Jungkook freezes. The Black Sun Gala, the night rival factions attempted a coordinated hit on him and the other alliance leaders. He'd been drugged, a slow-acting paralytic in his champagne. He remembers vague, feverish flashes, his bodyguard, Jin, hauling him into his car. YN's worried face swimming above his. the desperate, urgent need to get him to the secure penthouse, to their home. YN. You don't remember, do you? Her voice is a soft, aching whisper. You were burning up, delirious. I was trying to get you into bed, to make you comfortable. You pulled me down. You were so strong, and you were not yourself. You kissed me. It was the only time you ever truly touched me. You fell asleep almost immediately after. I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was just the fever, the poison. I never thought. I didn't know. Author's POV, the memory, hazy and fragmented, slams into Jungkook with the force of a freight train. A soft touch in the dark. A warmth that fought back the cold dread of the poison. The scent of her perfume, jasmine and vanilla. A safe harbor in his chaotic, violent world. He had thought it was a dream. A beautiful, cruel dream he'd locked away. Because the reality of wanting his own wife was a vulnerability he couldn't afford. He looks at her, really looks at her. He sees the tear tracks on her pale cheeks, the way her hands tremble as they protect her womb. Their womb. He sees the raw, unvarnished truth in her eyes. A truth he was too blinded by his own insecurities and the coldness of their arrangement to see. The gun feels suddenly heavy, monstrous, alien in his hand. What had he done? His arm drops, as if the weight of the metal is too much to bear. The pistol hangs limply at his side. The furious, cold Mafia boss is gone, and in his place stands a man shaken, horrified, and utterly lost. JK. His voice is a ragged whisper, all the fury drained away, leaving only a hollow shell of regret. YN, Y/N. She takes another step back, wrapping her arms around herself. The vulnerability is gone, replaced by a wall of ice. Don't, just don't. She turns and walks away, her footsteps echoing in the vast, broken space of their home, leaving him alone with the shattered pieces of his actions and the devastating truth. A/N. The aftermath of a storm is often quieter, but the damage is laid bare for all to see. The days that followed were an Arctic winter. YN moved into the guest wing. Meals were taken in silence, if they were taken together at all. Jungkook tried, in his clumsy, broken way. A bouquet of white lilies, her favorite, appeared in her sitting room. She left it to wilt. He had his chef prepare all her favorite dishes. She picked at them without comment. He was a ghost in his own home, haunted by the image of himself pointing a gun at the woman carrying his child. The woman he had, in his own twisted, subconscious way, claimed as his own. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. YN was in the library trying to read when a wave of nausea hit her so violently she stumbled. Jungkook, who had been hovering nearby under the pretense of looking for a file, was at her side in an instant. JK. Y/N, Y/N. She pushes him away, leaning over the back of a chair. I'm fine. Leave me alone. He didn't. He stood there, his hands hovering, unsure where to land. He watched the color drain from her face and saw the stubborn set of her jaw. He saw her strength, and it shattered him, JK. I'm not leaving. His voice was firm, but softer than she'd ever heard it. He rang for the housekeeper. Get Dr. Kim on the line. Now, when the doctor arrived, Jungkook didn't leave the room. He stood in the corner, a silent, brooding sentinel, listening as the doctor confirmed the pregnancy and discussed prenatal care. He heard the swift, strong heartbeat of their child for the first time through the Doppler, a sound that punched straight through his chest, and seized his own heart. Dr. Kim. The baby is perfectly healthy. Y/NSSI, just a strong bout of morning sickness. I'll prescribe some vitamins that should help. After the doctor left, Jungkook finally approached her. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, looking exhausted and small. JK. He kneels in front of her. It's a gesture of submission, of humility, so unlike the Dragon of Seoul. He doesn't touch her. He just looks up at her, his eyes filled with a torment she had never seen before. I am so sorry. Y/N. She looks away, fresh tears welling. Sorry doesn't take it back, Jungkook. JK. I know it doesn't. He takes a deep, shuddering breath. I have lived my life in a world where everyone has an angle. Every smile hides a knife. Every kind word is a potential trap. I didn't know how to process what that test meant. My first thought, my only thought, was the deepest betrayal. Because the thought of you with someone else, it made me insane. I see now that it was because, somewhere deep down, you had become mine. And I was too much of a coward to admit it, even to myself. Y/N. She looks at him then, truly seeing the vulnerability in his eyes. The impenetrable armor has cracks, and through them, she sees a glimmer of the man he could be. You pointed a gun at me, Jungkook. You believed I would betray you. JK. I was wrong. I have never been more wrong in my entire life. The only betrayal here was mine. Against you. Against our child. He hesitates, then slowly, so slowly, reaches out and places his hand over hers where it rests on her stomach. His touch is warm, gentle, a complete contrast to the cold steel from before. Please, give me a chance. Let me prove to you that I can be more than the monster you saw that night. Let me protect you, both of you. Author's POV. It wasn't an immediate forgiveness. Trust, once shattered, doesn't mend with pretty words. But it was a beginning. Jungkook became a different man. The cold, distant husband was replaced by a fiercely attentive and protective one. He attended every doctor's appointment, his large frame looking oddly out of place in the pastel-colored clinic, his eyes wide with wonder at every ultrasound image. He read parenting books, his brow furrowed in concentration. He fired a chef who used a wine reduction in a sauce without telling YN. He started talking to her. Not about business or alliances, but about his day. Small things. He asked about her childhood, her dreams, the books she was reading. He learned that her favorite color was the deep purple of twilight, that she hated the sound of alarms, and that she had always wanted to learn how to play the piano one evening as she was struggling with a particularly difficult piece. He sat down beside her on the bench like this. His fingers, usually curled around a gun or a pen, danced effortlessly across the keys, playing a soft, melancholic melody YN. She stared at him, amazed. "I didn't know you could play, JK." He gave a small, sad smile. "My mother made me learn before she passed. She said it would keep a piece of my soul soft." He looked at her. "I think I lost that piece for a while. You and our baby, you're helping me find it again." The ice around YN's heart began to thaw. Droplet by droplet, the real test, however, came from the outside world. A rival faction, the Vipers, learned of YN's pregnancy. They saw it as the ultimate vulnerability, the dragon's heir. An attempt was made on her life during a rare public outing. Author's POV. Chaos erupted. A car rammed their armored vehicle. Gunfire peppered the bulletproof glass. Jungkook's bodyguards, led by the unflappable Kim Seokjin, returned fire. But Jungkook's entire world had narrowed to the woman beside him. He threw his body over hers in the backseat, his arms a cage of protection, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated terror. JK, stay down, don't move. His voice was a raw command, but his eyes as he looked at her were pleading. Please be safe. Please. The threat was neutralized quickly, but the aftermath revealed the final, stunning plot twist later in the secure bunker beneath their building. Jungkook's most trusted men were debriefing. Taehyung, his head of security, was Grim Taehyung. The intel was too precise, JK. They knew her route. They knew the exact car. This was an inside job. Jungkook's eyes turned to slits. He looked around the room at his most loyal, Jin Taehyung, his strategist Namjoon. Who would betray him? It was then that Yoongi, his quiet, deadly second in command, spoke from the corner. He had been analyzing data on a tablet. Yoongi, it wasn't one of us. He looked up, his cat-like eyes sharp. The leak came from the clinic. Dr. Kim. JK. What, Yoongi? He's heavily in debt to the Viper's gambling ring. They pressured him, but they didn't just want information about the pregnancy. Yoongi paused, his gaze shifting to YN. They wanted a DNA sample. They were convinced the child wasn't yours, JK. They thought they could use that to destabilize you, to make you look weak. They ordered the hit to make it look like a tragic accident, to remove the problem and the evidence in one move. The room fell silent. The Viper's plan had been predicated on the same terrible assumption Jungkook had made. That YN had been unfaithful. Jungkook looked at YN, who was pale but steady. The final piece of the puzzle clicked into place. The world outside their walls had also refused to believe the truth of their child. His own initial sin had almost cost him everything, because it was a sin The entire underworld was ready to believe. He walked over to her and, without a word, pulled her into his arms. He held her tightly, his face buried in her hair, his body trembling not with rage, but with the aftershock of nearly losing the two most important people in his life. JK. He whispers into her hair, his voice thick with emotion. I will burn their entire world to the ground for this. Y/N. She pulls back slightly, cupping his face in her hands. Her touch is gentle but firm. No, JK. He stares at her, confused. YN, they tried to kill you, to kill our baby. Y/N. And they failed. Because of you, because of your men. Burning their world will only create more enemies, more shadows for us to fear. She looked into his eyes, her gaze unwavering. Be the dragon, Jungkook. But be the dragon that protects his nest, not the one who sets the whole forest on fire. Protect us by building a better world for us, not by drowning the old one in blood. Author's POV. In that moment, Jeon Jungkook fell in love with his wife, not as a possession, not as an alliance, but as his equal, his partner, his moral compass. She saw the monster in him and was not afraid. She simply asked the man to come out and play. He did what she asked. The retaliation against the Vipers was not a bloody war, but a surgical, strategic dismantling. Yoongi and Namjoon orchestrated a financial takeover that collapsed their empire from within. The evidence of their crimes was anonymously delivered to the authorities. Dr. Kim was dealt with, his debts paid, and his license revoked. Sent far away with a warning that echoed in his bones. Months later, on a quiet spring morning, their daughter was born. She had YN's eyes and Jungkook's stubborn little pout. They named her Hanul, meaning heaven. Jungkook, the feared Mafia lord, was reduced to a weeping, awestruck mess the first time he held her, the first time she wrapped her tiny hand around his finger. He felt the last of his cold, hardened exterior melt away. That night, in their bedroom, which YN had moved back into weeks ago, he sat on the edge of the bed, watching his wife nurse their child. The scene was illuminated by the soft glow of the moon, a picture of such profound peace it stole his breath away. YN. She looks up and smiles at him, a true, radiant smile that reaches her eyes. Come here, lies down beside her, curling his body around hers and the baby, his arm draped over them, both in a protective, loving embrace. JK. He kisses YN's shoulder, then the downy head of his daughter. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve either of you. Y/N. She leans her head back against his chest. Love isn't about deserving, Jungkook. It's about choosing. And I choose you. We choose you. He holds them tighter, his entire world contained in the circle of his arms. The gun that once defined his power was locked away in a safe, a relic of a past life. His real power, he now knew, wasn't in the fear he could instill, but in the love he protected. The cold, tempered steel of his heart had been reforged in the warmth of his family, and he was, finally, whole AN. And so, the dragon found his greatest strength not in his fire, but in his treasure. Thank you for reading.